Alrighty, today is a good day for modifying bikes. Alrighty, anyone who's been following the videos might have noticed I've been having a bit of trouble with the bicycle chain. The solution was to grab my spare tensioner, of course the one being with the 4 bolts holding it in. Now I've got it tensioning, pulling up. It's actually, tension is working upside down. Now this has worked particularly well. It does make the ride a bit more rattly as you're going along. Obviously there's an extra moving part in there, but that hasn't shifted. There's not the same amount of tension as there is on this one, which is fantastic. The bike did not miss a beat. The speedo still seems to be reasonably accurate. No, everything has been in really good working order. So I have plans to put in a reserve tank. Alright, so that's just basically a mock-up now. This is a brand new tank. It's never seen so much as a drop of fuel. So I got the Dremel out and I shaved those studs down because I've got 4 of these tanks now, plus that big one, so I can afford to get a bit experimental. So using the luggage rack like that, I'm going to get some more of that bracket material and strap it down to there, and then obviously we'll run a petcock down to the, probably end up using the same filter. We've got to go pick up some supplies, but basically what I'd like to be able to do is fill that up, go for a ride, see how far we get, be able to ride back down on the main tank. And if that works out really well, then I can just leave that on as a reserve tank. So I've gone and got our sacrificial lamb. This is the one obviously that I cut off. Now this was the other day, so I'm probably repeating myself if I edit this together. It looks a bit wet and shiny there because I just wiped some of the crap off. This is out of the newest set, the engine that's on the Mark IV. If you watch my 50cc unboxing video, the fuel filter that came with that, I threw it away. I just want to point out that the one that's on the Mark IV now, it came with this filter. Now this is the same one that came, I've been using the same filter since the Mark I bike, and it's still going strong. So there's a reason I haven't used that. Alright, so we're about to go ahead and thread our fuel petcock in. I learned the hard way with these petcocks is that it's got a little arrow saying direction of the fuel, and at first to turn it off I was turning it all the way around, you know, thinking that the arrow up meant it couldn't go through. That's actually incorrect. You could never see down there anyway, I don't think. But to turn it off, it actually has to be sitting sideways like that, and pointing to the off, so 90 degrees. All right. This is my auxiliary tank mod. Now the idea is that we carry our main fuel in there, and if we happen to run out of that, we can switch over and run a bit of fuel from the smaller tank, which will get us home. Now the only thing left to do here is to run a line down. It looks a little cramped under there, but there's plenty of room, and I prefer it like this because it helps protect the line a little bit. So I'll likely run the line down sort of around here. So I've just done a bit of bracket roll to wrap around there, and I've just freshly sprayed it black to help it look a little bit stealth. And the same with the gas tank cap. So the idea in having 2 tanks on the bike is peace of mind, I guess. You can go a little bit further Normally you won't get through a whole tank without something breaking, but this bike has been particularly reliable for me. The only things that have gone wrong are the things that I haven't looked out for myself. But I have a bit of a plan for the auxiliary tank there. What I'd like to do is obviously have fuel in the main tank, but I'd like to fill that up with a measured amount and just see how far I can get on that one tank, with of course being able to ride home on the bigger one. Now, looking at this side of the bike, what I plan to do is I'll run my fuel line down here, and I plan just to use that same fuel filter, which will mean just undoing that ring clamp there. Obviously, you know, we need to make sure that the tank's off. Rather than me having two filters, I'd rather just keep one clean and dry and ready to use if I need to. I had ummed and ahed about whether or not to use like a Y joint so I don't have to worry. That way I could have, you know, a filter up here, a filter there, and then just have them running down into the same one. I might do that in the future, but it depends on how successful that this tank is. I haven't ridden it yet. Obviously it's still a work in progress, but I need to make sure it's not going to vibrate off or out. It shouldn't go anywhere. It's a little bit loose, sort of up there. So I'll probably throw a few bits of tape over there just to be on the safe side. Alright, now here we have our boost bottle mod, which I would imagine I should be able to get some cable ties in up under there and have it set up like that, and of course it will be running down to the new manifold that I did a little earlier on. Alrighty, today is a good day for modifying bikes. So I've gone ahead and I've run the line down. Let's come around here. So there's a bit of extra slack in here because, you know, if you need to shorten your fuel line due to cracks, it's better to have a bit more that you can just cut off. But I've cable tied it to the seat post to try and bring it in and stop the fuel filter from really hanging out. It's not any further out than it would be attached to this line. So just always remember to stick a bolt in there, because you will always get a little bit of fuel leaking through the petcock, no matter what you do. So what I'd like to do is, this tank is currently empty. The lines are completely empty. So I'm going to put just enough fuel in there to fill the line up, and then I'll start the bike and we'll run it dry just to make sure that there's no blockages in the fuel system. And then we'll take it for a ride and see how far we get on the auxiliary tank. Alright, so I had to tidy things up a little bit because there was too much of an uphill, and the tank itself wasn't pointing down towards the petcock. The petcock was actually sitting up like that, so as far as gravity feeding is concerned, obviously if it has to go uphill it's not going to work. So what I did is I lowered the position of the fuel filter. It was right up here, but this way, you know, I've put a bit of extra hose, or a bit of new hose here, obviously, so it reaches. And I've just made a loose bracket out of cable ties there to keep that hose out of the way. And it I should be able to do the same with the other one there, but I always carry spare cable ties with me anyway, so if this one is gonna flop around out the way, I'll just build another bracket for it. Long term, I think I will put like a Y join into the fuel line, so the auxiliary tank can be a little bit more permanent. But while we're testing, I don't want to make any massive changes to the line